matter. There's been a lot of research done on the impact of our communication. There are basically three components of communication that have impact on the person we're speaking with. There's a visual component, a vocal component, and a verbal component. A visual component is your body language, your facial expression, your posture, how you're standing, all of those things that we can see, but we can't necessarily hear. The vocal component is how we say things, the inflection we have, our pitch, our tone, our pace, all of those things that have to do with how we say certain words. And then, of course, the verbal component is the words themselves. Albert Mehrabian did research on this back in the 70s at UCLA, and it still stands true today. Mehrabian's research shows that 55% of the impact we make when we're speaking, 55%, is the visual aspect. The visual, our body language and our facial expressions, gestures, all of those things that are the visual component of our communication. And 38% is attributed, or the impact is attributed to the vocal component, which is how we say things, the inflection and tone and volume, all of those things. And I know I'm not a math genius, but I'm pretty sure that only leaves 7% of the impact for the verbal component, the words we say. I will admit that a lot of this research is misused. And I've used it myself for this reason, to show the importance and the impact of nonverbal communication, the stuff other than the words. That doesn't mean that as long as we look good and sound good, we can say nonsense and still be okay. We have to choose our words very well. In fact, our words can be even more important because they don't have quite the impact. The main thing we can take away from Mehrabian's research is that we need to be congruent with the three V's, visual, vocal, and verbal, right? Our facial expressions and body language, our gestures and our tone need to emphasize the words we're saying, not change their meaning. As long as we're congruent, these facial expressions and gestures and all the nonverbals can make our presentation so much more powerful. So I'm going to give you three things that you need to consider when you're thinking about the words you're going to choose. Remember, they're not as impactful, so we need to make sure we choose them well. The first thing is, be concise. Don't use too many words. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Don't try to talk like you write. Because when you're writing something to someone, they have a chance to go back and reread it if they didn't get something. A lot of people tend to write out their presentations like they would write an essay where you have a lot of complex sentences. People don't need complex sentences when they're listening to you. They need something concise. That's where the power is. The second thing to consider when you're choosing the words for your presentation, how you want to say this, is to consider the audience. Make sure you're not talking over their heads. Make sure you're not talking below them. You're dumbing it down, making them feel patronized. You need to make sure you're choosing the right words. And if you have to use language because of the type of presentation it might be that they may not understand, make sure you write into that presentation explanations, definitions, things that will help them understand. And then the third thing to consider when you're choosing your words is make sure you don't use passive or soft language. Use positive, strong language. Instead of saying, I might, say I can, or I will. Instead of saying, I think so, or I think this is the way it's going to be, say, this is the way it's going to be. Using positive language reinforces your credibility, shows confidence, and makes people want to listen to what you have to say. So there are your three tips for choosing the words for your presentation. Yes, the visual and vocal aspects of your presentation are more impactful, but the words are extremely important. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all the latest videos. Also, go to our website, theroweco.com, subscribe there, and we'll keep you up to date on all the new free resources, and you'll get access to special discounts on our other services. Own your influence, and let us help you be heard.